Well, this is going to cause some controversy, isn't it? Some debate amongst anyone of you who are watching, but I am going to state this, and I'm going to explain why CrossFitters are, there's no doubt about it, are the fittest people on earth. And I mean CrossFitters of all levels, beginners, intermediates, experienced and professionals across the board. In relative terms, they are the fittest, and you cannot tell me otherwise, and we're going to get right into it. So, get the popcorn out, put the daggers away, and listen up. So, the sessions we're going to talk about, look at this handsome man in the background. Damn, he needs to grow his hair back like me. Anyway, what is CrossFit? Because a lot of you are probably thinking, like, it's just people doing weird handstand walks and pull-ups. You know, it's not really a sport, it's not really exercise. Let me tell you otherwise. Who is CrossFit for? Now again, you maybe think it's for the American cult heroes, religious people, but it's actually a really big growing sport, and it's getting bigger every single year, despite the bodybuilders telling you that it's dead, despite the science bros, the fitness buddies telling you it's dead. It's not dead. Who's it for? Little clue. It's for everyone, but I'm going to tell you who specifically. The big question then, how does CrossFit make you fit? You know, why would we want to start walking on our hands? What is the point of those weird butterfly pull-ups? Why one workout involve a bike and a heavy deadlift? You know, what's the point? But also beyond the sport of CrossFit, because for me, it's not just about the physical changes. What can we learn from CrossFit itself as a methodology? And the last question, the one you want to know, should you do CrossFit? I think you know where I'm going to get to. By the way, this isn't a cult. This is just me preaching for my belief and trying to get you into a sport that I know is better than what you're currently doing. And this is the way. But I promise it's not a cult. So what is CrossFit? The actual definition put together by CrossFit is it's a constantly varied, high-intensity, functional movements. Okay, so variation, lots of variety, heavy lifting, gymnastics, endurance. We've got high intensity. You know, you often see the videos of CrossFitters and CrossFit gyms with people lying either on their front or on their back, gasping for air. It's intense, it's difficult. Functional movements that relate to the movement patterns we do every single day. Deadlifting, pulling up from the floor. We've got running. We've got sort of gymnastics and powerlifting. Again, things that are useful to us because we're going to generate power, we're going to generate strength. They are functional. We are not fixed on a machine like a leg extension, like a chest press, just isolating one muscle, because when we move in real life, it's very, very rare that we isolate one particular muscle. So my definition, or my slight variance of that definition, I think it's the sport of everything. It is the complete package, the all-rounder. Now, I was always describe myself as an all-rounder when it came to football. I could play in pretty much any position. I was quick, I was fit, I could shoot, I could pass. Now, I wasn't the best at any of those things, but I was damn good at all of those things. And that's essentially what you want to do with CrossFit. It's not about specializing in one thing. It's about being good and being in the top 10, top 5% of everything, okay? It's the sport of sports. What do I mean by that? I honestly believe whatever sport you play, whether you are a kickboxer, whether you play rugby, whether you're a swimmer, this sport as a training methodology will enhance your performance. It will supplement any sport for you to get better. I trust, I promise you that. I absolutely promise it. And it's not just about the elite athletes. So when you've heard and seen CrossFit, you've probably seen the CrossFit Games, these guys that look like they're juiced up, these women that look like they're juiced up, lifting huge weights above their head, doing really high skill gymnastics movements. But I promise, it's for your nan. It's for Karen. It's for the kid coming out of school and finding or trying to find something to keep them active is for everyone. You know, we have a key word in CrossFit, scaling, and I'm going to get exactly what scaling is, but let's break the push-up down. You have a full push-up, then you could go to on your knees push-up, then you could go to a cobra push-up. We are scaling the push-up to allow for anyone of any individual fitness level to have a go, to be able to do that particular exercise. And that's the way a CrossFit workout, that's the way a CrossFit class is designed. You can have someone who is at the top of the game, an elite athlete, and you can have your nan in the same class doing the same movements in principle. How cool is that? So who is it for? Like I said, it is simply for everyone. The old, the young, the tall, the small, the guys in really, really good shape, the guys who aren't in so good a shape, for men, for women. Everyone can get involved in CrossFit, and everyone can do the same class, the same workouts with the scaling options. And that's why it is such a cool sport, because you get to meet people who you wouldn't usually hang around with, who aren't in your criteria of age, of gender, of race, of physical background. You get to meet other people, which is what makes the CrossFit community so powerful, because not everyone is just the same damn person trying to do the same thing working alone. So like I said, scaling is the key, and even those who maybe come into CrossFit from another sport, who come into it mainly from bodybuilding, scaling is important, because these can be quite high skill level movements. Even if you think you could do the movement, you're probably not going to do it efficiently. And when it comes to actually performing, you want to be as efficient as possible, because that's when it can get hard. It's for the athlete who wants to get better at their sport. I already mentioned this can supplement pretty much any sport. You will gain power, strength, you will gain endurance, muscular endurance as well, which is a different thing. You'll gain mental toughness, putting yourself or redlining your workouts to the point that you have to let the mind take control, because your body is capable then more than you think. Mobility, coordination, like literally anything and everything can be worked on in CrossFit, and that's why it is useful for anyone, any sports person out there. It's for beginners looking to find something that will stick. You know, CrossFit is a sport that will get more people in the door and keep them in the door, not only because of the excitement, the variety of the sporting and competitive element, but the community that pretty much hugs you, puts their arm around you, makes you feel like an athlete, makes you feel important from day one. That's going to keep you there. But it's also for the experienced sports people who want a new challenge. Me, that's exactly what I was. I played football up until my early 20s. I did bodybuilding training for a while. I just trained functionally. I didn't really have a certain goal or direction again from football until I found CrossFit, and then it's almost like it opened a new chapter of my life, not only in sport, but it gave me the confidence to travel. I used CrossFit as my gauge of where to travel, what places had CrossFit gyms. This is where I made my friends, and fast forward to today, I'm CrossFit level 1 certificated. I'm training to become an international athlete. Most of my friends that I hang around with now I met at CrossFit, and my girlfriend is also someone I met at CrossFit. So it really has given me a lot, and this is why I'm such a big advocate for it, because I know it can give you a lot as well. So how does it make you fit? Well, I've already explained it covers every basis of fitness to start with. It works on your sprint. It works on 3 energy systems. It works on 3 energy systems: the ATP, the lactic acid system, and also the aerobic system. So it's working on all elements there. But you've got flexibility, you've got mobility, you've got your power, your strength, your speed, your agility, your coordination. Literally, it's definition variety. The goal is to be good at everything and not to be an expert in one thing, because if you're an expert in one thing, you're not giving enough time to the other things. As I said, fitness is divided by 10 components, and I've ran through pretty much all of them there, and CrossFit covers these equally in the WODs and the workouts that are designed. It challenges you constantly to work on your weaknesses, because when you get into a WOD, and this is why it's so cool, because you you're in competition with yourself every single day, whether it's how many reps you can do, how much you can lift, how many rounds you can go. You are competing with yourself, and therefore you'll come up with a WOD that has a movement or two in there that you're not very good at, and it will humble you. It will humble you because Karen will beat your time, because your nan will beat your time, because the kid who's here for his first day will beat your time because you're not very good at that movement, and that happens to be something that they're pretty damn good at. And it just gives you that fire to improve. You're not going to let your nan beat you again. You're not going to let Karen get one over on you again. So damn right you're going to work on it, and you're going to get better at that skill, and also the supplementary skills that go with that. It motivates you to keep progressing because you can never become a master of CrossFit. There's so much to learn, so much to improve upon. You will never become a master, and you can always get fitter. You can always get stronger. Of course, you have to manage your recovery, not overdo it, but there is no glass ceiling in this sport, which is what makes it so exciting. And whether you compete externally at these big events, at small events just outside of your gym, or whether you just compete within the gym, within your own classes, within yourself, it will push you to your limits way more than an arm day or a push day at the gym, because quite frankly, what are you aiming for? To go a little bit heavier than last week? Great. You're probably going to sacrifice your form because of that. CrossFit has standards. CrossFit has a true measurable progress timeline of you and how you're doing, and that is where the excitement comes from. So beyond the sport of CrossFit, because it's not just about the physical changes that it's going to give you, the methodology is based around living a healthy, fulfilling life. That means it wants to look at every aspect of our health and fitness, our diet, our social needs, our mentality, and CrossFit does a hell of a lot in these fields as well. It even gives a prescribed nutrition guidance of the block zone diet, which, okay, I'm not 100% behind, but I actually get the methodology behind it. And for someone who doesn't have the time or the willingness to track their food and to put it in an app every single day, as long as you can be as sensible as weighing out your food, you can follow this simple diet, and it will help you, and it will help 90% of people out there who have a shocking diet right now clean that up, okay? Because it promotes whole foods, it promotes good levels of protein, high levels of fruit and vegetables, minimizing processed shit, because that's what it's all about. It's not just about your health and well-being, it's also about how you're performing on the gym floor in your workouts. And if you're feeding yourself shit, you're going to perform pretty shit. The biggest thing for me, and I think the biggest thing for most people, is that community and social environment, especially if you're coming from a solitary sport or method of training, especially if you're someone that lives at home on your own, especially if you're someone traveling and don't have a close-knit community at all times. This is where you will find yourself and your friends, and potentially your girlfriend, and potentially your boyfriend, and just a life that you cannot find anywhere else in any other sport, in any other gym. I promise you that, because all sports are pretty much segregated from gender. CrossFit isn't. Yes, okay, the men don't compete against the women on the individual basis, but when it comes to the way the classes are run, the way the community comes together, there is no gender gap. The women, the ladies, often outperform the men, in my opinion, as well, which makes it super cool, because you can sort of compete against the women, and they can compete against you, and it just brings everyone together. So the community and the social environment is the biggest thing I think that CrossFit has over any other sport. It's a training philosophy that constantly challenges you, because one day you might finish top of that leaderboard because it had a few movements in there that you were good at. It had a few characteristics of your fitness background that you were strong in. But tomorrow's a different story. Tomorrow it's got the movements that you hate. And all of a sudden, it humbles you. And yes, okay, it might not feel good in that moment, but straight after you're like, okay, Great, no. Now I know what I need to work on. Now I know where my weakness is, because you're not always cherry picking the things that you're good at. You're not always sticking to the things that you enjoy and the things that you excel at. You're actually having yourself exposed, your weaknesses exposed right in front of you. And that's maybe why some people can't handle it. But if you're someone that can get over that, if you're someone that can take back that feedback within yourself to improve, then damn, you've hit the jackpot with this sport. And it's not just a 1 hour a day thing, it's a lifestyle. Pretty much every CrossFit gym I've been to, there's been social get-togethers outside of gym hours. There's been WhatsApp groups where you'll chat, share things. It might sound minuscule, but it really, really does help to keep you motivated. And as I say, some of those friends will become true friends that you actually see outside of a gym setting, outside of competition, outside of an organised social, and just go out for a pint, for some food. You might even take one on a date. All of this can come to anyone who gives CrossFit a go. So finally, should you do CrossFit? Now, this is a picture from the first time I visited this the first period I visited this amazing box where I'm now training in Siargao. And this was essentially what hooked me back to this island multiple times, and now why I am staying here for the long term. Now, this is pretty self-explanatory for me. It's pretty easy to make this decision, but these are the questions you have to ask yourself. What are your current goals? Are they to get fit? Are they to look lean? Are they to feel fitter, stronger, faster, be more athletic? Because the only goals that I wouldn't join a CrossFit gym for is if I'm specifically trying to build muscle like a bodybuilder. Everything else CrossFit can cover. Might not be the only thing you do, but it certainly can be a thing you do. Do you have a passion for any sports or fitness at all? Because if you do, CrossFit fits into that. Do you have any weaknesses in your sport? Because if you do, CrossFit can fix that. Do you have a CrossFit gym near you? Because if not, then okay, I might actually let you off on that. But what I would say is, I'm not telling you to obviously sell your house and move closer to a CrossFit gym, but when you have the opportunity to visit one, maybe you can just schedule one session in a week and see what you think. Maybe when you're traveling next time, you can seek out a place that has a CrossFit gym, or seek out a CrossFit gym near to where you're staying. And I trust me, you will open your eyes to actually what fitness can be. It's not just about going to the gym, slogging a leg session, being on your own, slamming down the protein shake and repeating tomorrow. It can be way much more than that. This is a rhetorical question, because if not, then why are you watching me right now? But do you ever want to become fitter and stronger than ever? Like, is that a goal? Would you, if I gave you the chance now and I click my fingers and you could become the fittest and strongest that you've ever been, would you say no? CrossFit can do that for you. Do you want to make friends for life? Guess what? CrossFit can do that for you. Oh, damn, I sound like a preacher. But for sure, the reason I'm saying this is because maybe it gets a bad rap, and I want to kind of put myself out there now as someone who is a big advocate of this sport. And I've only been in this sport for just over 2.5 years now. And now already it's made such an impact. Imagine double that time, 5 years' time, when I'm 36 years old, and I've been in the sport at that point for nearly 8 years. Not only how far could I go in the sport, how many more friends am I going to make? How much more of an impact can I have on the sport as well as it having on me? So take it from someone who's still pretty new, this could be, like it has done for me, a sort of crossroads in your life, a point where everything becomes clear, becomes exciting. Everything changes for the better because of this one movement, this one action I took in visiting the local CrossFit gym back in England, back in Bolton. And now I'm excited to see what's to come. Where at a point, I wasn't even looking forward till tomorrow. That's how low I was before I joined this sport. Every day was just get through the day, something will happen soon. It will get better soon. And this is what got it better. So where can you find me? Now, if you didn't know already, I am an online fitness coach. I also do some in-person, but unless you're living in Siargao in the Philippines, I cannot work with you in person. However, I have been online for over 3 years now, and the success I've had, I'm pretty confident I can work with you to get your goals and to help you be successful in your endeavors. And now recently I'm now focused on working with either current athletes or prospective athletes looking to get into CrossFit or High Rocks. So you can find me on Instagram at TWT Coaching, T_W_T Coaching. Training with Thomas is the reason or the naming behind that. Of course, you can work with me for all of your sports and fitness, strength and conditioning. So if you are not looking to get into CrossFit and IROC specifically, that's fine. If you play rugby, if you play football, if you are training for a triathlon or a marathon, I can handle and take care of your strength and conditioning, your diet, and everything in between and outside of the discipline. And I promise again, we will help you become the best athlete possible. Or if you are specifically looking to achieve CrossFit and High Rocks goals, and clearly you're not looking to work with me to get better on your spelling, because that's something I regularly do. But seriously, if you wanted to get into CrossFit and High Rocks, or even just get better at those sports, again, you can hit me up. Just DM me on Instagram. That's all you have to do. Or comment on this video, and I'll reach out to you. But other than that, I'm off to go and do some CrossFit, because that's what I do. If I'm not making videos, if I'm not working with clients, I'm doing CrossFit. Peace out. Love you all. And don't forget to follow me, like, subscribe, and everything. All that. Let's work together. Peace.